2/3 of enterprises are now using SD WAN. But more importantly, these are SD WANs that are primarily served by internet-based underlays. So a lot less assured and no SLAs typically for a lot of the network transport that's happening underneath. You can see that SD WAN is growing at a dramatic rate at the expense of MPLS, which is still quite popular and used for critical links, but SD WAN is starting to prove itself as a worthy replacement. We'll talk about what we need to do to make sure that kind of hybrid connectivity as well. With workers telecommuting, working from home, moving hybrid from the office to other locations on site, you start to have a lot of different types of connectivity we'll talk about, including, of course, the internet providers that people have chosen for themselves. And also another part of the equation is that as people move more remote and the activities and applications that people are accessing become more cloud-based, the security perimeter is changing. It's becoming much more dynamic, and it really has to follow the user and their device. And we'll see that kind of trends along with the SD WAN. So 2/3 of enterprises planning to have that deployed by the end of next year, and quite a rapid adoption rate there. Making things a little bit more complicated in terms of connectivity, it's not just really the user connecting to an application or a cloud, or even a cloud to a cloud. It's also applications interconnecting with each other, which we'd call a composable application. So today, 3/4 of the applications that are used in an enterprise are actually interconnecting with a number of other applications. And 80% of those or more are actually hosted on the cloud or are SaaS applications that are really not hosted at all within the enterprise IT department's own infrastructure. It's becoming quite obvious that the network itself is becoming really the critical backplane of connecting all these applications to their users. And you can see from some data we've pulled from the Kadiska platform that if we look at a web-based application, the network in many cases is actually the dominant factor for the latency that the user is experiencing. There's many other factors in there, but the network is also influenced by different forms of infrastructure like the CASB that we talked about, DNS performance, and other methods that determine the path through the network. We're also seeing, of course, that we're going to be soon approaching a majority of traffic from enterprises not going to private locations or inside the LAN, but actually going to SaaS and cloud applications. And as the traffic starts to leave the more private networks that the enterprise and network operations teams are used to, we're also seeing from their surveys with these professionals that they don't feel they adequately have the ability to monitor the networks that are serving these locations. So really a strong trend here where the network is becoming more vital. More of the traffic is going to locations outside of private premises, and at the same time, there's a lack of visibility that would help these teams actually assure the performance.